Hi, I'm Kiara.
I'm Tanisha, and you're now entering the sister chat. Welcome to Main Event Mamas.
Yes, welcome. And this is our first episode in our brand new format. So today we're all talking parenting, adulting, and life, right? And it's been another amazing week above the ground, and we are happy to be here. But it's
And alive.
been
Everybody's
alive,
alive.
been alive. Everyone made it, which is great. But again, tough week. But and because I think we're going to talk about our first topic, it's puberty, right?
Oh.
So, for all you parents out there, if you haven't experienced this, if you have, this one is for you. We want to tell you we get it. And we have kids at various ages of it because there's multiple stages. And it's a lot. It's a lot. And it's very different from when you were growing up, right? So, like, let's dive into some of the stuff because I know you got some good stories.
I do, but I also want to put a disclaimer. If your children are not there yet, I don't want to scare you, but should be very informative.
Yeah.
or some capacity of it. So yes.
I mean, it's not quite a nightmare, right? It's growth and development.
It's not a nightmare for who?
Okay, so let's have the first question. So, as a parent, and this is actually a really good one because I wish someone had explained this to me. What were some of the initial subtle clues that your child was entering puberty? Was it like a change in the mood, a growth spurt, or like something else?
Well, me.
Yep, you can
Okay.
go first.
Okay. So I will tell you. Let's start with the oldest, a teenager. It was his body odor.
Ooh.
All of a sudden, I got a whiff, and I went, "Where did that come from?" And he was,
Fragrant.
baby girl was a baby, so he
Oh,
was. Oh, hold on, we got to calculate because that means 10-year-old was
yeah,
1, and when he
many
came, he
moons
was 5.
ago.
Okay, 7. He was like 7. No, but we need. He was about 7, 8.
Hmm.
Whiff of. I was like, what is that? I said, who is that? Where did it come from? I smelled his breath. Not his breath. I was like, then he did something else. I was like, wait a minute. Hold on. What is that? Come here. And I sniffed his underarm. I went,
Never did that again, did you?
I did on the other side just to make sure. It really was him. Because I even picked up the sister. I picked up mama's and I picked her up. I smelled her. No, it wasn't her. I had to make sure it was him. Whew. So body odor happened first for him.
Mm-hmm.
For my 10-year-old, what's his attitude or tantrums? No,
Oh,
more like frustration. Like he got so mad he couldn't communicate, and you'd be like, "What's wrong with you? What's happening?" And he's like, "Ah!" And he's like, "No," and they run away. You'd be like, "What just happened? You were just smiling. What? Why are you so angry all of a sudden?" It just took him a little snick.
so yeah, okay, you got to forgive me for laughing, but I feel you. I've been there with the smells and the attitudes and the feelings. It was a lot. It was a lot to go through. And you said he was like 7?
10-year-old, yeah, I think he was about 7, 8. When that happened. The oldest was 7 when the smells happened.
Okay.
Now we're gonna get to baby girl. Baby girl. Who she? I don't know who was worse because that one. Okay, I guess maybe because it's fresh, like it's real fresh. But her attitude would come, and it would be around like the week, around like when we're PMSing, and then it was both of us PMSing. I was like, what is happening over here? What are you doing? What's going on?
She's still
And
pretty young.
I know she is. She's 9. So hers started, I would say, when did I first say? Like maybe about 8?
I was
She
going to say
definitely,
it was
like
7 or
she,
8.
yeah, she started having these little moods. And then, of course, I started questioning y'all, is her period coming? What's happening? Because this is crazy. Because what's going on? Because she would go into her fits of rage where everybody was the enemy.
Everybody?
Including me. And I was like, girl, I
Everyone.
will knock you down. No, and figuratively, not literally, but and then it will last for a period, and
Right.
then her body odor started. So it was the attitude
Oh,
first, then body odor. and then hair.
Everywhere. Yep. The hair everywhere.
And I guess with girls, it's a little different. So then it becomes the growing stage of things. And I wasn't even the one who noticed it first. That's the crazy part. I didn't even notice it first. It was the co-parent. He noticed it through a video chat. He was like, "Hey, what are those? What are those where? What are you talking about?" And then I looked and I went, "Oh." And we both looked at each other like, he's like, "Well, I know, I'm leaving." I said, you don't get to point it out to me, and then now you want to leave. This is we gonna sit in this together.
Did he
And
stay?
he did, and he just looked at me like, "But what you want me to say?" I don't know why you pointed it out, because I didn't see it. You saw it. Why did you see it? And he was like, "I don't know." And I was like,
It was a lot. It was a lot to go through. I get it. I get it, if that helps.
and then now the baby. Now he's going through the whining stage. It's a weird thing. Everybody went through different stages. But he don't stink
Yeah.
yet.
How old
But
is he?
he's 7. I know
You
it's
got a
about to
little
happen.
time. Yeah.
No, not if I'm going by what happened with everybody else.
So this is what I wanted to say. Is I
Yes.
noticed that it doesn't happen at the same age with everybody, right? Because when my daughter started showing these signs, it was the
How old?
attitude. It was probably around 7 or 8. Is that when she said she was going to cause herself running away from home to go to chorus or something?
Oh.
Yeah.
She was gonna run.
Yeah.
Well, I know that one. No,
yeah. Me and the
like, I'm leaving.
Yeah, me and the cops got real acquainted that day. That was terrifying. It was fun. It was fun. She almost died, but she didn't. She's still here. So
I remember that.
Yeah, you do. That was a very terrifying moment.
I'm surprised she's still here. No, it's just we're just talking. Nothing.
I'm not surprised that she's still here. I mean, her father only has one daughter, so I try to keep that lineage alive. But yeah, no, it was the mood, it was the smells and the growth spurts. Now this here is next level. Okay, so
my kids babies are tall.
They're taller than me because my husband's tall. And our father was tall, and I feel real cheated about this. By the way, I felt like
so
it just
You're not the only one. You're not the only one. I don't know why I got big feet and I'm not tall. I don't understand.
I feel like we got cheated out of the height.
Absolutely, yeah.
That could have been ours. Nonetheless, the grandkids are getting it. Happy for them. So yeah, they're very tall. I am feeling a little salty. Okay, I mean, who knew?
Acknowledgement and acceptance and accountability is very important.
It is, and I can admit to myself that I'm a little salty. That being said, yeah, the height thing. Y'all know, like, I call them the Titans. That's what I call my kids because they're taller than me by far. But they're equally afraid, and that's all I need. I need a little healthy fear. Nothing that make you, terrified of your parent, but just a little bit to know, like, you ain't gonna swing because it ain't gonna work. So the height was the thing that really was another thing that I noticed, but same thing, all the things that you noticed. So I'm kind of curious with that. So with you noticing these things, how did you have conversations with your kid about it? Like, what approach did you take?
Well, I can tell you with the girl, my daughter, me and my bonus daughter, adoptive daughter, niece / godchild, bought her a book. We bought her a book. She bought her a book off of Amazon about the changes and what she should experience and letting her know that these are normal. And that was very helpful until we got to the growing of the swollen areas. And then she was kept comparing herself to the swollen areas. And I was like, child, why are you trying to be at stage 4 already? Just accept the stages that you're at. Stop rushing it. I said, do you want to be like mommy? She was like, no. I said, okay, so stop trying to be stage 4.
So when you say like mommy, what is that?
My boobs. Since we want, okay, so boobs, okay? Your breast meat, your breast area, your chest.
Thank you. Thank you for that.
Okay, I was trying to be politically correct.
No,
it's fine. But you know what? It's okay.
Well, you said like mommy. I thought our audience had the right to understand what we were referring to.
That's true. Okay, I'm a woman, 100% natural. Okay? Some of it is by breastfeeding. So things have gotten a little larger than normal. But she wants to be at stage 4. And I was like, girl, stop trying to be at stage 4. But this is in the beginning stages of her chest becoming swollen. Okay? Because I
Yes.
don't want all you pervs out here getting ideas.
Okay.
Anyway,
All right. Let's move on.
we're moving on.
I
We're
will
moving
answer
on.
this too, though. I will say y'all did better than me with the book cover with buying a book. I just was like, so have y'all covered this in health? You know, out of any curiosity. I was like, did you cover this by any chance at school?
Not you asking the school question. Now
No,
you
not
sound
the
like
school.
some.
I asked the
No,
doctor
I'm
and the
saying
son.
asking them about the school.
Yes,
Like that's crazy. It's a weird.
it's
So,
not.
maybe because you know what, my approach is a lot different, and I
No,
realized
you
our
didn't let me
approaches are
finish
different.
my approach.
Oh, okay.
That's
Well,
my point.
I was still talking about my approach, but go
Oh,
ahead, continue. My bad. I'm gonna
that being
sip
said,
my
I'll let
tea.
you. I'll let you.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. No, I'm gonna sip my tea. Listening. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. So now y'all get a sense of what happens behind the scenes when we have to pause and come back. But we're not going to do that today. So I asked them about what they learned at school, and then we just talked about it, like, you know, what they could expect. It was one of those awkward conversations you wish you don't have to have, and more awkward for them than for us. And this is the first time I looped my husband in, because I honestly have to tell you, there was such joy in my spirit and putting the discomfort right on him. You know what I'm
Oh,
saying? I
okay.
was like, so your turn. Let's talk about this together as a family. That was one of our first like family meetings, and we
Mm,
had talk about it as a group and what to expect, and what to do if certain things happen, and what you talk about. But I still will tell you to this day, like, the joy I felt in watching my husband's face just would go blank. Like, how did I end up here? And I was like, I could tell you. Like, I was there.
we were both there.
It
You
was,
wanna?
we both participated. So as a result, you get to be in these awkward conversations. But I think it worked. I mean, it went really well. The kids were uncomfortable a lot. But I also felt like they were informed, which I think that's the key. I think it's important to also kind of have that conversation in school. I think maybe even a little earlier, because puberty is happening earlier and earlier, right? So I'm like, mine was pretty early. My daughter and I were pretty similar when we like started our menstrual cycle. But I will say puberty obviously hits first, and that's when you hit the hormone changes and the sleeping and the growth spurts and all of those things. So it was a lot. Okay, now I'm sorry. What's your additional approach that you took?
Well, I kind of forgot, but with the boys, I tried to handle it. However, at the time with the oldest, I did have the co-parent because we were kind of talking better then, and the co-parent would talk to him and tell him guy stuff. Because I'm like, I'm not a guy. I don't. All I can do is tell him to wash up, put deodorant on. Like, but when it came to other things that happen in puberty, I don't know how to approach this without you know what? Forget it. It's what it is. So when when the guys, when you get to the age of, I guess, puberty, and you decide to do certain things and don't realize what's appropriate and when's appropriate and when to do it, I had to let
That
the
was
co-parent handle that because my oldest wasn't quite sure when the appropriate time was. And and when you, at some point you're like, dude, you're gonna be considered pervert. I need you to chill. Cause chill. I get it. You're like, oh, there's something coming out of my body. Oh, this is great. But you're not supposed to do it in places you're not supposed to do it. That's the part. Okay, because I'm telling you, because I had more experience with the older child with certain things that just didn't happen. See, the problem is yours happened around the same time because of their ages. Mine's is like drastic differences.
no. I just when I tell
No.
you, my
Okay,
son is
so
very
when did the
studious,
so
so he
okay,
studied this stuff, so
that's
he
fine.
didn't.
Okay, so he already had all this in his head. Okay, see, the other thing is up here, they don't do health or sex ed until they're like in middle school slash high school.
Slash high school.
So, yeah,
That feels like a little late.
but they're also, but it doesn't happen in elementary school. And my three youngest, they're in elementary school when it started happening.
Right. That's why I'm like, I'm pretty sure we covered something to do with
Yeah.
it.
No, I think the only thing I do remember them sending a notice out was they were going to talk about AIDS, and they sent a notice saying, "Hey, if you want your child to be a part of this, da da da." And I was like, "Well, yeah, they should know about AIDS. Sure, why not? Hopefully, you're going to cover some aspects of how they get it, not
Right.
just the nonsense of the needles and the stuff. You tell them
They
everything."
didn't have dare? Like we didn't go through all the dare of it all?
No, that was us.
Jeez.
That's when we grew up. And I don't
See,
even and see this is the other thing too. When I was growing up, my mom didn't let me participate in health. She wrote a note saying I cannot learn about any of that from them.
oh. Yeah, my mom was like, have at it, because the least I have to tell you about this, the best for her. So that was like not a thing that we did.
No.
But okay, so looks like you navigated a lot here. Looks like there's a lot on the table for you to be dealing with, especially with the different ages and the different times. And I definitely relate to having a lot to deal with. Having two going through it at the same time is a lot too, because you kind of want to run away sometimes, especially if you got both their moods and they're flaring at each other and it's a whole 911 emergency and you yourself are thinking about calling the police. But that being said, how did you cope with their emotional roller coaster? What are the things that you did and what strategies did you find effective dealing with them? And also yourself, finding yourself in these situations.
I got their asses common gummies. Now, okay, hold on. They're kid appropriate common gummies. They're not the adult common gummies.
I didn't see that coming. I'm sorry. I didn't see that coming.
I promise you that's going to be probably one of our sponsors. I will find them. We will write them because those things works within 15 to 20 minutes. They're my lifesaver. They're like $12. Go to Walmart. They're called common gummies. Kids common gummies. Give them two. Whatever that tantrum was, whatever that attitude was, whatever the frustration was, especially works on my 10-year-old. I'd be like, he'd be getting so frustrated. I'd be like, can someone give him the common gummies? I felt like I'm Fernand when they had the common goat. That's how I feel by saying, can someone get him the common gummies? He needs the common gummies. And we're literally within 15-10 minutes, he'd be like,
do we have adult common gummies?
I don't know, but I have not tried them yet, but I'm pretty sure if I do, they'll probably make me calm too. Actually, no, there is some. There's called, never mind, we're not gonna talk about that. So, anyway, so everyone gets one. So
Okay.
if everybody starts getting a different, no, go get a common gummy. Go take this. Here you go. Everybody take one because I can't. Because like you said, when they're both flaring up at the same time.
That's when I would need the common gummies for adults because that was a lot.
Well, I do. I take a common gummy, all right.
Okay. So
I mean, not a gummy, but whatever. Whatever we do to stay, sane and
centered,
I do take a little quick shot.
That's fair. That's fair.
But because when they all flare up, especially when it's a 3, and then you got the teenager like, I can't handle this. This is just too much. He needs to come out. And you'd be like, he shares a room with you. You need to go and chill. And then you got the other 2, and they like, everyone hates me. Whoa, who said that? Where did that come from? I hate you all. Whoa, where is that coming from? Then you got the girl child trying to beat up everybody. I'm going to hit you. Whoa, why are you so angry? It's...
Wow.
And don't let it be around the time of month for me. Because then everybody could be like, we could all be at each other's throats. And
they could get it too?
Y'all, I need y'all to understand I'm on a different playing field. And you know who's going to win? Me.
Mom.
Ain't y'all. So I need y'all to get y'all stuff together because I'm about to. And they go, okay, my bad, mommy. I'm sorry. Okay, can I hug you? No, don't hug me. It's y'all reason why I'm frustrated. Especially my oldest. I feel so bad for my oldest because then he'd be looking at me like, but I didn't do anything. You did. And you know you did. He was like, but I didn't start. I didn't. Okay, bye, Mom.
Oh my God.
Everybody get out of my face.
Nobody called Child Protective Services.
Please don't, because I love my babies to death. I will do anything for them. But I'm just saying, when it's chaos, y'all, as parents, there's also a reason why guys do run away. Because sometimes Wait, hold on. Let me finish my thought. Because sometimes when there's too much chaos in the house, I want to run away. I just want to run away. So I understand why guys go, if I don't have to deal with this, I'm out. And then they come back when everything is calm. And you're looking at them like, but now you're angry because you're like, Anyway, this is a whole nother story for another day. But I'm just saying I understand why
some people might want to bail out of that. That's fair. Like, just, what were we talking about? That took us on a journey.
I'm sorry. We was talking about what I did to make them calm, and then I got into a tangent about why sometimes because you was giving the face, I felt judgment happening, and I don't understand. We're supposed to listen and not judge. I don't know how.
That's not true. I never said that I was going to listen and not judge.
Well, we're supposed to listen and not judge.
Where was the rule on that?
You know what? I'm gonna sip my tea.
I don't think there was a rule, but I'm not judging you because, like I said,
your eyes were your eyes went. Whoa,
I didn't know you was giving them gummies.
What kind of gummies are you talking about? And it was like I had to instantly say, "Dude, it ain't the adult ones, dude." But you was like, "Hold on, I had to make sure." That's
not why
Why would I admit that on? Why would I admit that on the podcast that I gave them real? What kind of nonsense is that? I'm not trying to have ACS to my door.
Okay, so let me answer the question. Hold that.
Yes, you tell me. You tell me how. What did you do to help effectively calm them down while they're having their moments, and you try to stay sane? You tell me.
Yeah, so let me tell you, because I only have two, so this makes it a little easier. I separated them. I would put one in one room and one in the other, and one of them doesn't like to be alone, so that was that was the equal punishment. And then the one who really, really hated being like in the group with you, that worked too. And then it stopped working after a while because, kids, they adjust and they're like, I don't want you to be near me, so I'm going to cause drama. So then we used to make them sit together, facing each other. But not.
I'm about to say, did you do the thing where you had
no?
To shirt,
I wish I had known about this. Okay, because someone told me it like saves them, like it saves their parenting, and I was like, I wanted to snatch both of their souls several times. Like, I'm gonna just take you and hang you because y'all lost y'all mind. It's too much for me as a parent to be fighting World War 75.
Did you just say you wanted to snatch their soul?
Yes, I want to snatch. From like Mortal Kombat.
Oh.
No.
Oh.
Yeah, remember?
Oh. Nope.
Scorpion.
I'm judging.
Okay. I was definitely feeling Scorpion. I was channeling Scorpion. That tells you what was going on in my head when I was going through that. I was like, then we got really good and we started giving them other outlets too. So we let them play video games. We let them go play. It was a lot of research.
Trial and errors.
It's a lot of research. I'm not going to lie. I was just asking other people, like, how do I not kill my kids when they do these things? And then I was watching stuff on TV and then I was reading books. So it's not like I had all the answers either. If I had known about these damn calming gummies, I'm still wondering how I can get some for these teenagers.
Walmart.
Okay.
I'll send you the link.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Welcome.
So,
or Amazon. They
or Amazon, which is the answer to everything. So this is a moment where I want to wrap it up with any advice you would give parents who are currently navigating puberty with their kids or about to navigate these changes. So what advice would you give?
Well, definitely get calming gummies. They're called Ally calming gummies.
Oh, okay.
Amazing. Also, if you have a girl, definitely do your research because they're not going through the same things that we are going through. Or let me put it this way. We don't remember. We remember when we got it, but we don't remember all the emotions that went with it.
Right.
Like, I remember when I first got my cycle and how it kind of flipped like the first 2 months or 3 months, but it's definitely different. So definitely doing your research. Even movies, I can tell you Inside Out.
Yes.
Inside Out. I'm looking forward to Inside Out 3 because that was, whoever developed that was one of the most amazing things that they did, especially for me as a parent, to see it from a child's point of view. And also us remembering, especially Inside Out 2, when it was like, oh, that's what that was going through. And now you're realizing, even because even my daughter, she's like, yeah, that was anger talking. You know what? I'm gonna let you have that, because I can't have you watching movies that are actually supposed to be helping you express yourself or learning about these emotions, and I can't let you express yourself.
That's
No,
right.
go ahead. And also letting them be able to talk to you even when they're angry. That's something that I've learned too. I thank Dad for that, for us be able to tell him how we are feeling, but as long as we are respectful in the process. So I always remind them, you can tell me how you're feeling, but remember to stay respectful. Remember the key things. Like, there's certain things I don't let you do, but if you feel like you need to say that, then let me know ahead of time.
Right.
So then I'm prepared not to be just mom, but switch it just a little bit, so then I can receive it in a different way versus me like, oh, what are you doing? So yeah, I would tell y'all to do that. Definitely, if you have a girl, also get that book. I believe it's an American Girl book, and it talks about adolescence, and it talks about that. I'm not sure if they have one for boys, but if they do that too. Especially because they learn so much from the internet. They learn so much from YouTube. They learn so much from their friends, and they get misguided information. And the best thing you could do for your children and for yourself is to research and understand what's happening now, so then y'all can have good conversations, so then they are prepared.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's all great advice. The only thing I would add is make sure you set those boundaries. With my kids, I'm like, I'm always mom. There's not a time I could be your friend when you're about 25. We're not there. But in the meantime, I do set specific boundaries. Like you said, like, is there a time where you need to get something out? That's cool. Talk to me. You also need to communicate with me. Open that line of communication between you and them and anything else. And then be comfortable asking them what they know. You'd be shocked what your kids know, because when we were younger, there was no YouTube. There was no all of that to give you the information that you never really wanted. There was no Inside Out, right? So be comfortable finding out what your kids already know and how you can be a resource to them. Always really try to emphasize that. Like, I've been through it. Let me help you where we can. And I actually learned, and one thing I did mention was sometimes kids need mental health days. And it was
They
really
do.
important to give them that too.
Yeah. And then the other thing too is what I found, another one, which at first it was like, why is this movie out? But now that it's happening to me, it makes sense. I call it the Red Panda movie, but that's not what it's called. It's called Turning Red. That,
Love that
but
too.
that is good, especially because it's not just good for girls, because yes, it's about a girl getting her period and the changes that are happening and what's happening, and us as parents like, oh my god, this happened, I need to help you, and not try to embarrass them and get them to understand those certain things. But you also see it too, where they have the boy dealing with their little stuff and what's going on in that dynamic. So I think watching a lot of these movies, especially with your children, and then having a discussion after, should be helpful.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now we're moving on to our adulting segment today, and it is a whopper.
I'm gonna drink some more tea on this
So
one.
you might grab your snacks and your martinis for this one, because
Oh,
we're
I need a
talking about
shot.
how to survive living with your significant other. So this is a moment, y'all. So most people are living together before marriage. I think we can admit that most people are like, yeah, marriage is a little secondary to living together. And that can happen for a multitude of reasons, right? But it can also lead to some big make it or break it moments. So, as we've both done this, I think I think that there's some interesting insight that we can certainly provide about it. So, my first question: what are some common expectations people have going into living together, and how do these expectations align with reality? I mean, essentially, did you think about it or did you jump in? Like, I mean, what, you know?
I never thought about it. Neither time. I just jumped in. I don't know if that was stupid or not. But
It's a choice. I don't know if it's stupid. It's a choice.
God, I'm about to die because I don't know. Yes, it's a choice, but no, I really didn't. Like, you know what you do? You do the first time I ever lived with my ex. That was a weird thing because I used to live with you. And then it became, well, either I stay or I go back home. And back home is in New York. So figure it out.
I mean, it was
Wait,
a little more complicated than that.
it was. Oh my God, I'm dying.
Breathe. Thank you.
I just find it comical because I really didn't. That was like and I was young too. I was like, I don't know what, I was like 20, 21, 20. I don't even know.
Yeah.
Was I 21?
No, you were 20.
I turned 21 when I was with daddy.
Oh, then you definitely were 21. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I had to think about it. I was like, no, because I
That's
wanted to be on, because
right.
I wanted to have a sweet 16 when I was 21. Jesus Christ.
You wanted to have a what?
Okay, remember, okay, time out. Okay, time out, because now we get off topic, but time out. But the reason I say that is, remember back then, Sweet 16, the show, was so popular. And then they started doing random shows, had like when you were turning 21. And I was like, well, I want to be on there. So maybe I could somehow get there, knowing that nobody had money
I
like
was
that.
gonna
So you
say,
didn't
did
even
we
make.
have a rich cousin we didn't know about, or dad,
No, I
mom?
was, because then I was also reading that some of it wasn't real. They were faking and some of it was fake. And I was like, oh, okay, so maybe I could just pretend my way through. Just like, when they did Pimp My Ride, it really wasn't their car. It was someone else's car. And they made it seem like it was their car.
Hey, you like this?
I'm just saying, I'm being honest.
Okay,
So,
thank you.
okay, I
Can we
digress.
go
But
back
anyway,
to the
we
topic
can go
at
back to this
hand?
topic.
Thank
Yes,
you.
yes, 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 yes. I had to think about that. So, yeah, so I had really, it was either I stay or I go back home to New York. Which one did you want? Because, yeah, it's one of those two. I wasn't down in Georgia that long. So I was like, yeah, it's one of those. And that's how it happened. So it really wasn't a
Plan it
thought
out.
process.
Yeah.
It wasn't really like, let's talk about it. And then we went from one place to another place. And it was like, oh no, hold on. What do you mean never mind. We didn't really talk about it. Nothing was talked about. Even when I moved to Virginia, I pretended to be married. So it really wasn't even a thing. Oh yeah. Oh well. Now you're learning about that. I pretended to be married when I moved to Virginia, just so I could keep somebody. First, I don't listen. I don't know. I was
We
really
knew
dumb and
we,
stupid.
we knew you were pretending, if that helps.
Cool. Okay. Cool. Thanks. Appreciate it. But so no. To answer that question, no, none of that was thought about, and even like now, none of it really was thought about. It was just like the idea. Like,
Here we go.
hey.
Okay, well, that's fair. I would say that I had long, deep discussion. I did not. I did not have not one deep discussion. It was out of
You sure? Because
necessity.
I feel like you would. I
Um,
feel like you would have these conversations
uh,
because you are more of a logical thinker than me. I'm more of an emotional based person.
yeah, and I think that's the logical part is why it took so long
Mm-hmm.
because I just was not convinced that that was an option I wanted to explore. Like I was like living with somebody. I had roommates in college though, so you gotta understand. Like I had roommates in college, and they were fine. I'm not gonna throw shade on anybody, but I liked living alone very much, and I also think that this was colored by when I first moved out of my mom's house. I moved in with my husband, so it's not. I was in college. I lived alone. I came home, and then we moved out together after the kids were born. But I think some common expectations you have are basically I think
What's
that
in your head?
right, it's in your head. So in your head, you're like,
You never communicate them.
no.
You think you communicate them, but you never communicate
And I
them.
didn't either. I was also young to help that. But I didn't communicate any of that. And I think that is what made a significant impact on why that did not work is that we did not talk about it. There was no like specific things that have to happen, some things that didn't have to happen. Like we went in it. We were two kids living together who happened to have kids who also didn't have those deep conversations of don't do this and do this. And I don't know why actually at that point. I think we just assumed, it was all going to work out cuz love.
Yeah, I mean, typically, I feel like that's what you normally go into. Like, oh my god, we love each other so much, and everything's gonna be great. And you're like, nothing you can do is gonna upset me. And then you're like, what are you doing? Why? And you're smiling, and you're like,
Also, why are you here? Please leave. Just go home. Wait, you can't because you live here. So like that leads us to our second question because that was definitely an experience I had. Have you or someone you known experienced a shift in your relationship once you moved in together, and then kind of what changed?
Well, I could tell you many stories about me, but
You want me to start?
I mean, I think in the beginning, for sure, there was a lot. Like you said, we don't communicate. We don't like, you just think it's something that's normal. But then I was going to give y'all my business. You know what? So when I was like 22 and I moved in and there was a whole bunch of other things, and then, yeah. So then, someone else moved in with us. And then we had roommates and then we had other roommates. And it was a lot going on at that time period in my life. Oh, not you say here. Okay. You got to take a little. I need a shot. Anyway. So, we didn't communicate. There was a lot of chaos. And I didn't know how to communicate the chaos other than being angry or drinking. So that was a really bad time for me.
Really?
Yeah, I drank a lot.
Learning this is new to me.
Okay, I never got drunk because I've never let myself get that point, but I definitely was drinking every day. Every day. Like I knew the time the liquor store opened. I knew the time they closed. I knew what time I had to go to the convenience
So you were a
store.
budding alcoholic.
I was. I drank for my feelings. I drank for everything. Everything was a drink. I had to. Because if not,
So how did your relationship shift? Like what was the
it
dynamic?
shifted because there was no trust. Because things were happening underneath my nose that I knew was happening, but then was denied that things were happening. And then, you know what? Fine, whatever. It shifted a lot. A lot. A lot, a lot, a lot. Okay? A lot. And when I say drinking was a coping mechanism for sure. And I literally almost got pawned off to somebody because it was too much for the other person I was living with. And it was like, well, he said, he's gonna be with her, so I need to come holler at you. Nigga, I don't want you. What you coming to holler at me for?
I don't remember this story either.
You don't. Yeah, I kept a lot of things from you from at that time. That's why I just realized I'm just gonna just tell my business. It doesn't really matter at this point. Everybody's family. We can put y'all in here. Those at that time that wasn't a lot. That was a lot happening. And then even when we all didn't. But when me and him moved to Virginia, there was a lot of things that happened then too. But I was sober because someone else wasn't. So I had to stay sober. So I could not escape the way I wanted to escape. Work was my escape. I worked like two to three jobs. So I worked 3 jobs.
Wow.
Yeah, I had my full-time job and then I had my 2 part-time jobs. And some days I worked 3 on one day.
Wow.
So
You was busy.
that was my escape to try to get away from everything that was happening at that time because that person was angry. Not at me, of course, but somehow it was my fault. But we'll digress. We'll get in that into another thing. But now I can say for other people that I've talked to who shall stay nameless, theirs definitely shifted a lot once they moved in together. Where now their relationship is suffering because they don't have their own space. And I'm getting a front row seat to it because, I'm trying to be a peacemaker. I feel like my calling is a marriage counselor or
I keep
relationship
saying
therapist
this.
or whatever that is. Somehow I can fix everybody else's life, but I can't fix mine. But that been told to me multiple times. Like it changed, the dynamic changed once they did finally move in and they didn't have their own space. And then also I do hear a lot of, well, that's my place. I pay for it. You're just here. And of course, when you're doing that with somebody, then do they feel like they belong? And I think that sometimes was the misconception or misconstrued things when you have people that move in with you or you move in with somebody else. Now you're trying to make their space like you said, you're used to being by yourself. So now you're trying to okay, come in. Oof, my mom's gonna kill me. But even my mom, she said some things and I'm like, what are you doing? So just get your own place then if you can't, And she was like, no. But she was like, he'll say things like, well, now you're taking over my TV, and now you're taking over this, and now you're taking over that. And it's like, but we live together. So how is it
Yours.
yours?
Mm-hmm.
Ours. Like, so stuff like that. So I think that's really important moving into something or doing something. You have to communicate and not use the words mine, mine, mine,
Right.
yours, mine. It's all about, especially if you, no matter how it happens, no matter if it's coming because of financial, because of necessity, because you just want to jump in it and think everything is going to work. You have to use the words
Yeah.
to make it feel like it's actually y'all's space and not someone, not just my space. Because I feel like if you do that, especially sometimes for me, when I had, prime example, in Georgia, even though I helped and I lived there, it was always brought to me, well, this is mine.
Mm-hmm.
I pay for it. You could da da da. And it was like,
Right.
uh, we don't live here together. No, no. So constantly having someone telling you that it's yours, it's mine, this, and third can definitely downgrade your relationship.
Yeah.
That's how I think.
I mean, I think there's a lot of factors that lead to kind of how your relationship can change. I could say the first time we moved in together, we definitely ran into the ours and mine. Like, I think we both had single people syndrome where you're like, this is mine, this is
That's a
mine,
good
this is
one.
mine. But I also come to learn that that was also part of our fundamental, there were some values there that we had to get into. I don't like to share. He doesn't like to share either. So what are the things that we can compromise on? What are the things we can't compromise on? I think having that conversation initially would have saved us a lot of heartache and drama. I think having the conversation about finances and who handles what and who's going to pay the bills and whose name the bills are going to go into, those are all important conversations to have. So I think like the first dynamic was a lot of just like fighting. There was a lot of just, this ain't gonna work. This ain't gonna work because we're just fundamentally incompatible, right? And then we grew a little. We got a little bit older and we tried it again. And that time it worked a lot better, except we still did not communicate the way we needed to. It became like, how do you fight right? You know what I'm saying? Like, what's the right way to have an argument without hurting someone? And it brought up like abandonment issues and it brought up, fears of being homeless and all of that in different people, but also just kind of feeling like, do I belong here? So that dynamic, it went from okay to kind of like unsettled. And then we did something really important. We sat down and had a real conversation. Like, all right, these are the things that I know you've learned over the years about me. These are things I've learned about you. What are these hard things that you're not going to change on, that you really can't stand? We had to come up with we had to have conversations about when bills had to be paid, what wasn't going to get sacrificed, the way, like how we bought things. Like I do all the grocery shopping because I don't want wholesale items in my house. Like I don't have enough space for 200 boxes of ramen and the 45 bags of white pasta, which I don't eat. And you know this. Like there's a lot of things that we had to have real, honest conversations about our expectations and whether we could meet them. And I think that was the change that we needed. Now we live together pretty seamlessly. Also, the other important thing you mentioned, having your own space. I can't say it enough because we're both very much independent people. So as much as we like to be around each other, and we do, my husband and I are almost always in the same room, even if we're like reading. One of our favorite things to do is to go to bed and he reads and I read, or he's in bed reading and I'm playing on The Sims, or he's playing video games downstairs, or upstairs I'm playing video games downstairs and the kids are playing. Like we are still very much kind of loners who happen to want to be together. So I think learning about those things that mattered, space requirements, food requirements, bill requirements, I think all those conversations have to have a place and a time. And the sooner you have these conversations, the easier you can determine like whether this is for you for real or whether it's not. And I think a lot of people are scared. I know I was scared to have those conversations at the beginning because we were pretty young. And again, like I said, abandonment issues at that time. So that was one of the things that kind of did that. And so, yeah, so my other question for you is like, how would we're going to ask you to put on your marriage counselor slash relationship counselor hat because, like I mentioned, there was a lot of, we lived together 3 times before it finally took, right? Um, and so, how would you recommend people navigate kind of these breaking points in their relationship? Like when you get to the point where you're just like, I don't see a path because of the fighting, the chores, the finances, the all the things about living together. Like if you're in the moment with somebody and y'all are at this point, what would you recommend they do?
Communicate.
Right.
Don't be afraid to communicate. Don't be like me. No, he's not. No, I'm serious. Don't be afraid to communicate. Communication is key. And if you are afraid to communicate because you feel like that person is not going to receive that information correctly, then also maybe take a pause and realize, ask yourself, am I also communicating effectively? Because you could be communicating and not communicating effectively at all. You could be just talking and nothing makes sense. You have to actually verbalize what you are thinking, even if you have to write it down on paper first to see what it is that you want. And yeah, communication, because you won't know. Like, I think just like how you said, like, y'all, third time was a charm, but y'all had to have a real conversation. If you're not having a real conversation and you're basing everything off a fairy tale, well, that's your number one thing. You're wrong, because everything's not a fairy tale. Everything is not going to be peaches and and rainbows and butterflies, and like that's not realistic.
Right.
And the ones who say that that is, I'm gonna tell you respectfully, you're lying.
Not lying. Not lying.
No, because because you have to be, because there's no perfect relationship. Even when I listen to you and when I hear about y'all, and yes, y'all are clingy. Y'all are like
We're clingy.
little well, y'all like little teenagers, because you be, and then I be like,
Well, we're in love. There's nothing wrong with that.
nothing's wrong with that, but you guys still have your real
That's
issues
right.
where that's why I'm saying everything, you can't be happy all the time. That's unrealistic to be happy all the time. Zero.
That's
Like
true.
you could try to be happy all the time. You can pursue the best positive energy and everything's gonna be great today and everybody's gonna be awesome. Okay. That's cool. But you're still human
That's right.
and you still have thoughts and feelings. And if someone crosses you, you're gonna be like, everything is great. No, you're not. You're not. Let's be honest. You're not.
You're right.
And I think that's another thing. You have to be honest with yourself about certain things. You have to be honest with what your expectations are. Are you moving in because you're lonely? Are you moving in because financially? Are you moving in because you are afraid of being homeless? Are you like things like those are the real conversations that you have to have with yourself, and then you can have those conversations with your partner and then move forward, you know.
Okay.
But yeah,
All right. So
definitely.
with that, I just want to start wrapping us up because this was a great conversation discussing puberty and surviving that because it is hard. And then also nailing down how hard it is to transition to living with your significant other, right? It's a challenge, it's a balance, and it requires some really important steps for you to take. And I think especially that communication that you emphasize, not just with your partner, but also yourself. So with that, I mean, thank you for the conversation today. It was great to bring it to our main event fam to talk about the things that we're dealing with on a day-to-day basis, right? So with that, I want to thank you guys for listening. I want to remind you this is your time to like, share, subscribe, and comment. Hit that bell if you haven't. We want to invite you into our world. We want you to join our sister chat. So we're not new to this.
We're true to this.
And this is Main Event Mamas.
Mamas.